something I was thinking about, right? I've noticed this a lot with mothers, especially single mothers, is we kind of get into this repetitive cycle, right? Where you want to do more with your kids, but the thought of doing more with your kids is kind of like overwhelming or depressing. Or it's overwhelming, but it becomes depressing because you want to do more with your kids, but you don't know how to get out of this freeze state to do the more. So you're kind of just stressing yourself out because you're constantly thinking about it, but never doing it, right? I think what we have to understand is a lot of people who are resting, you know what I mean? Who are, and I don't want to say lazy because sometimes you're just resting, but you're kind of used to, or maybe be used to, sort of trauma growing up where you were not allowed to rest. Like you resting would be considered you being lazy. You got to be doing something. You got to be cleaning something. You got to be moving, moving, moving. Even though there's nothing to move with because your parents aren't doing anything because the same cycle, right? I think what we have to understand is when we're resting, you have to rest mentally too. You cannot be resting and then shitting on yourself for resting because that's not resting. Mentally, you're still working your mind too much. Resting is truly resting. I'm not saying go into lazy mode to the point where you're not doing anything and you're not keeping up with your responsibilities. I'm saying when you're resting, rest for real. Be okay with saying, hey kids, mommy needs some space. Be okay with taking that hour to yourself. I know that's not always easy, especially if you're a single mother, but we got to get more comfortable with talking to our children. I've talked to my kids. Hey, I've had a long day. I need a couple, minutes to myself. And make it fun. I'll turn on this little timer or set them up with a movie. Sometimes it helps if you set them up. I think I said this when I was talking about something else where I was saying, oh yeah, that was on my YouTube. But basically, set the kids up to be okay without you for those few minutes. So that when you're taking those few minutes by yourself, there's not chaos going around in your house. You have to set up a movie, set up snacks, set up an activity. And I know that sounds like a lot of work when you're in a depressive state because it's still you having to do something. But you have to start somewhere. And the way you do that is by resting and then resting for real. So when you have that energy, you can do things with your kids. Now you're doing things with your kids, you're resting. You're doing things with your kids, you're resting. Boom, you start getting this balance going. Now the kids don't feel like mommy never does nothing with us because you're doing things with them. And you won't feel guilt when you rest because, hey, I just did something with y'all. Chill out. Let me have some me time. Do you see what I'm saying? Try to find that balance. Start small and you'll get there.